All right, so remember that in Spanish there are three types of verbs. There are verbs that end in AR, there are verbs that end in ER, and there are verbs that end in IR. For example, we could say contestar is an AR verb. We could say vender is an ER verb, and we could say compartir is an IR verb. These verbs that I just wrote out that end in AR, ER, and IR, those are all called infinitives because they still have their original ending on them. So these are all infinitives, which means we can't use them yet. If you want to actually use a verb in Spanish, you need to conjugate it first. So we must conjugate a verb before we can use it. Conjugate. All right, so how do you conjugate a verb? All right, well, there's just two steps. First of all, number one, you take off that ending. So you either take off the AR, the ER, or the IR. So you remove the AR, ER, or IR off of the end of the verb. All right, well, now you got to put something new on. All right, so step two, now you put a new ending on. So you add the appropriate ending. That new ending is going to depend on whatever subject you're talking about. So if I am answering a question, it's going to have a different ending versus if you are answering a question. I would say yo contesto, but I would say tú contestas. All right, well, let's go over those endings because that's the important thing. If you don't know those, then you can't conjugate verbs. All right, so we've got our AR verbs, we've got our ER verbs, and we've got our IR verbs. All right, so we're going to draw our old familiar box for each of these. Trying to make sure that, making it big enough you can see it on the video. Looks good. All right. ER and IR. All right, awesome. Okay, so our AR endings. The yo form is O. Hopefully you know that. The to form is as. The la usted form is a. Nosotros ending is amos. We don't do vosotros, but it's ais. And the ustedes or the ellos, ellas ending is an. All right, so that's o, as, a, amos, and an. ER actually follows a nice little pattern here because instead of AR, it's ER, and so all of these A's change into E's. So we have O still, O is always O, but then instead of AS, it's ES. Instead of an A, it's an E. Instead of amos, it's amos. Instead of an, it's ain. And we don't do the vosotros ending. All right, so these are O, ace, A, amos, and ain. All right, IR endings, you would think, well, all right. AR, we changed all of these A's into E's. So you would think we should change these E's into I's, but we do not. Actually, we keep all of these the same except for this ending. This ending changes, okay? So O is still O, ES is still ES, this one is still just an E. But this one, instead of amos, now turns into emos, I-M-O-S. Okay, we still don't do vosotros. And then this is still ain. All right, so these are O, ace, A, emos, ain. All right, we're going to say that all one more time. We have O, as, a, amos, an. We have O, ace, A, amos, ain. And we have O, ace, A, emos, ain. So let's make one example sentence where we're using each of these verbs. So let's say for an AR, let's say I use the computer. So the verb for to use is usar. But if we want to actually use that verb, we don't want to say usar, because that would be like saying I to use the computer. That doesn't make sense. So we have to take this AR off, and then we have to use the correct yo ending, which is this box right here. So we're going to put an O on the end of our verb. So we're going to say yo, remember we took the AR off, O, and then the computer, la computadora. All right, awesome. There we go. We used an AR verb. Now let's use an ER verb. Let's use vender. We're going to say we don't sell ice cream. All right, so we, nosotros, don't, so we say no. All right, the verb for to sell is vender, but we need to take that ER off. So nosotros no vend. We need to put the correct ending on. In this case, it's going to be amos, vendemos. And then the word for ice cream, which is el helado. All right, awesome. We just used an ER verb. Let's do one IR verb as well. So let's talk about sharing something. We're going to say she never shares. So the verb for to share is compartir. All right, so we need to take that IR off if we want to use it, because we're not going to say she to share. No, that makes no sense. We need to say she shares. Ella usted, we're going to be using this ending right here, because ella, she. All right, let's do it. She, ella. Never, what's the word for never? Nunca. Nunca. And then compart. Remember, we took that IR off, and now we need to add the correct ending. A. She never shares. Actually, let's make it even better. She never shares the homework because she's a good student. La tarea. Ella nunca comparte la tarea. She never shares the homework. All right, there you go.